Greetings, this is Reverend Yue McCormick of True Vow Temple. In this presentation, I will be talking about the Threefold Refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and how it is a part of the daily practice of Nichiren Buddhism. In all the schools of Buddhism claiming lineages going back to Shakyamuni Buddha, the way to formally become a Buddhist practitioner is to take the Threefold Refuge in the three treasures, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. In Pali, a classical Middle Indo-Aryan language that was believed to be close to that spoken by the Buddha in the kingdom of Magadha, the Threefold Refuge is expressed three times as follows: Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. The Buddha shows us the possibility that we can awaken to the truth about life. Shakyamuni Buddha provided us with a model of human wisdom and compassion. When we take refuge in him, we take refuge in the possibility of our own awakening. In different schools of Buddhism, the Buddha is interpreted as anything from an abstraction to an almost godlike celestial being. But in Nichiren Buddhism, we do not regard Shakyamuni Buddha as an otherworldly reality, abstract ideal, or long-dead teacher. He is the awakening to the living reality of our own lives, which we realize when we take faith in the Lotus Sutra. The Dharma is the Buddha's teaching that enables us to cut through the delusions and bad habits that prevent us from awakening. On the deeper level, the Dharma is not just the teachings, but also the reality that the teachings point to. The Dharma as teaching uses words and images to awaken us to the Dharma as reality, which cannot be reduced to words and images. In Nichiren Buddhism, we uphold the true intention of the Buddha's Dharma expressed in the Lotus Sutra. The Sangha is a Buddhist community consisting of both clergy and lay people who support and encourage us in establishing a life devoted to following the Buddha and the Dharma. The Sangha provides us with a community that enables us to reach out to the larger community of all beings. Without the Sangha, we are like a plant lacking firm roots that can easily be swept away by a storm. The way of the truly compassionate person is the way of engagement with one's fellow beings. The Lotus Sutra teaches us that our awakening depends upon the awakening of all other beings around us. The Sangha is the community in which we grow in our practice by supporting each other. In Nichiren Shu, our reliance on the three treasures and vow to practice for the sake of all sentient beings is expressed in the form of a verse derived from the Flower Garland Sutra called Sanki, which means threefold refuge. The Sanki is one of the Shomyo, which are short chants written in Chinese characters and sung in Sino-Japanese, which is a Japanese approximation of the way those characters were pronounced by the Japanese when they first received them from China. Shomyo like Sanki are accompanied by standing bows and full prostrations. With these gestures of reverence, the Shomyo are meant to be bodily practices, as well as verbal and heartfelt. Nichiren Shu clergy are trained to perform Shomyo, though they may be taught to lay practitioners who wish to learn them. The Sanki is most often performed just before the Shomyo called Buso, or farewell, which is usually the very last part of a service. Let's examine it. To begin with, the red triangles indicate where to hit the handbell or inkin. The first time it is struck, everyone should take the position called Joki, a kneeling position wherein both knees should be on the floor. The heels of both feet are raised and the toes are on the floor. The buttocks rest on the heels. Everyone's hands should be in gasho, palms together, with the juzu or prayer beads hanging from the palm and thumb of the left hand. When the inkin is struck a second time, the person leading the shomyo will begin the first part. When the bell is rung again, the rest of the assembly are to join in. When it is struck the fourth time, then everyone is to bring their left leg up and rise up to stand as their voices rise. Towards the last part of the verse, a standing bow that becomes a full prostration is performed. The first two characters, which are Isai, and sung Isai, mean whole, or in this case, complete. Kugyo, which is sung Kugyo means reverence. Ji, which is sung Ji, is I. Kie means to take refuge, and the two characters together are sung Kie. Fu, though the character is most often pronounced Butsu, means Buddha, but in this case it is sung Fu. Fu. Togan is Mei, and these two characters are sung Togan. The next two characters are Shujo, which means sentient beings. Note that there's a little mark in front of the line for Shu, which means that one kind of starts over again in the middle. So Shujo is sung Shujo. Just before the next part is sung, the inkin is struck. At that time, allow your right hand, fingers straight, to drop gently to your side. Your left hand remains in the position it occupied when in gasho. Raise your left knee and align the toes of your left foot with your right knee. The word taige is embody. Note that tai is body or entity and is the third of the 10 suchnesses which we recite when we do the Hobenpan. Taige is sung taige. The next word is dai, or dai, which means great, and it is sung dai. The next word is do, which means way. So together, dai do is sung dai do. Hotsu is sung Hotsu, and it means generate. As Hotsu is sung, perform a standing bow. This is done by slowly inclining your upper body forward to an angle of about 30 degrees. At the same time, with your palms in gasho, extend them fully outward using a dipping and rising semicircular motion. The fingertips should be pointed away but on the level of the forehead. Hold this position for a few seconds, then return to your former standing position. Mujo means unsurpassable and is sung Mujo. On Mu, one steps back with the right foot, and on Jo with the left foot. E is mind, though it could also be translated as intention, and it is sung E. As one sings E, slowly lower your upper body forward, holding your palms upward with fingers straight, flipping the juzu in your left hand so that it hangs across the palm. Bend until your arms are on the floor, elbows touching the outside of the kneecaps. Simultaneously lower your head until your forehead touches the floor. Then raise your hands about 9 centimeters from the floor, or to the height of your ears, as if offering your palms for the Buddha to stand on. Putting this all together, this verse of the Sankhi means, I take refuge in the Buddha. May all sentient beings embody the great way by generating the unsurpassable mind. With the second verse, when the inkin is struck, everyone should rise from the prostration that ended the last verse and resume the position called joki. The person leading the shomyo will then begin the first part. When the bell is rung again, the rest of the assembly are to join in. When it is struck the third time, then everyone is to bring their left leg up and rise up to stand as their voices rise. Towards the last part of the verse, a standing bow becomes a full prostration. Once again, Ji is I, Kie is take refuge. The character Ho is Dharma, and it is sung Ho. Togan is Mei. Shujo is sentient beings. Jin is deeply. Nyu is enter. These two characters are sung Jin-nyu. The next character is Kyo, which is sutra, and the one after that is Zo, which is treasury or repository, and these are sung Kyozo. Next is the words or characters Chi-e. Chi-e is wisdom, and they are sung Chi-e. Nyo is like or as, and Kai is sea or ocean, and it is sung Nyo Kai. Altogether, this verse means, I take refuge in the Dharma. May all sentient beings delve deeply into the sutra treasury and obtain wisdom as vast as the sea. With this third verse, when the inkin is struck, everyone should rise from the prostration that ended the last verse and resume the position called joki. The person leading the shomyo will then begin the first part. When the bell is rung again, the rest of the assembly join in. When it is struck a third time, everyone should bring their left leg up and rise up to stand as their voices rise. Towards the last part of the verse, a standing bow becomes a full prostration. When the final bell is struck, everyone should resume the joki posture. Once again, Ji is I, Kie is take refuge, So is Sangha, and is sung So. Again, Togan is May, and Shujo is sentient beings. The two characters Tori mean harmonize, though To by itself can mean unify or interconnected relationship, and The is principle or arrangement. These two characters together are sung Tori. After that, Dai is great and Shu is assembly. These two characters are sung Dai Shu. Isai means holy, and these two characters are sung Isai. Muge means free of obstructions, and these two characters are sung Muge. Altogether, this verse means, I take refuge in the Sangha. May all sentient beings harmonize with the great assembly, wholly free of obstructions. Now I will give a demonstration of how to perform Sanki.
One thing I want to show beforehand, you see how the juzu is hanging off my left hand. When it comes to the prostration at the end, it's going to flip around the fingers and hang off of the left finger and across the palm. So before it's hanging like this, and then it's going to do that. So let us begin. Isai kugyo jikieku tougan shujo Isai
The Sankey is sometimes omitted from a service. However, reverence and even worship of the three treasures are expressed in other shomyo that may be used in Nichiren Shu services. The Nichiren Shu service, for instance, may include a shomyo called Sanbodai, or Revering the Three Treasures. This often follows the Dojo-ge. Let's examine it. As with the previous shomyo, when the inkin is struck the first time, everyone should assume the joki posture, and the leader will begin. When the inkin is struck a second time, the whole assembly should join in. When it is struck the third time, the assembly is to rise up to stand as their voices rise. A standing bow followed by a full prostration is then performed. When the inkin is struck the fourth time, everyone should resume joki. This is repeated for the next two verses as well. Now let's look at the kanji that make up the Sanbodai. The first two are Ishin, which means wholeheartedly or single-mindedly, and they are sung Ishin. The next two are Kyodai, which means to salute or extend one's greetings, and they are sung Kyodai. The next one is Ju, which means 10, and Ho, which means directions. So they are sung Ju Ho. Then we have the characters Isai, which means all, and are sung Isai. Then we have the characters Jo and Ju, which means permanently reside, and they are sung Jo Ju. Note that with Ju, there's a break as one is dropping the tone with U, and then it resumes after the break. And then finally we have Fu, which means Buddha, and is sung Fu. So altogether, this means with all our hearts, we revere and worship the Buddhas throughout the 10 directions. The next verse is identical except for the final character, which is Ho, or Dharma, which is sung Ho. Altogether, this verse means, with all our hearts, we revere and worship the Dharma throughout the 10 directions. The final verse, again, is identical except for the last character, which is So, or Sangha, and is sung So. And altogether, it means, with all our hearts, we revere and worship the Sangha throughout the 10 directions. Let me demonstrate how this is performed. Ishin Kyodai Yuho Isai Ishin Kyodai Yuho Isai Joju Ho. shomyo called Honman Sanki, meaning threefold refuge of the original gate, is sometimes used in Nichiren Shu services to express our particular understanding of the three treasures. In Honman Sanki, it is specifically the eternal Shakyamuni Buddha who is honored as the Buddha, the Lotus Sutra that is honored as the fullest expression of the Dharma, and Nichiren Shonin who is honored as the preeminent representative of the Sangha as the founder of our lineage. Let's examine this. Namu means, in this case, honor be. Ku is a character meaning remote. On is past. Jitsu is truly, and Jo is attain. So Ku-on Jitsu-jo means remote past, truly attain, or the attainment of Buddhahood in the remotest past. Honshi is original teacher. Shakyamuni is Shakyamuni, and Fu is Buddha. So putting this together, we have honor be to Shakyamuni Buddha, our original teacher who attained awakening in the remotest past. The next part, you have Namu, again, honor be. Byodo, which means equality. Daie, which means great wisdom. Ichijo, which means one vehicle. And Myoho Denge Kyo, or Sutra of the Lotus Flower of the Wonderful Dharma, which altogether is honor be to the Sutra of the Lotus Flower of the Wonderful Dharma, the teaching of equality, the great wisdom, the one vehicle. And finally, we have Namu, honor be. Honge Jogyo, or the original teacher, Honge, and Jogyo, superior practice. Koso, our founder, Nichiren, and Daibosa, or great bodhisattva, which means honor be to our original teacher, superior practice, our founder, the great bodhisattva Nichiren Shonin. In the Nichiren Shu service book, the three treasures of the original gate have been incorporated into the opening kanjo, or invocation, and into the echo, or dedication of merit. From this, it can be seen how integral the three treasures, particularly the three treasures of the original gate of the Lotus Sutra, are in the practice of Nichiren Shu. So here in the invocation we see, honor be to the great mandala, the perfect circle of all honorable ones, revealed by our founder Nichiren Shonin, which is followed by, honor be to the eternal Buddha Shakyamuni, our original teacher who attained awakening in the remotest past. Honor be to the Sutra of the Lotus Flower of the Wonderful Dharma, the teaching of equality, the great wisdom, the one vehicle. And honor be to our founder, the great Bodhisattva Nichiren Shonin, dispatched by our original Buddha. By revering the three treasures, we are reminding ourselves that the Buddha is the ever-present spirit of awakening at work in our lives. The Dharma is the reflection of our capacity to realize and practice the truth, and the Sangha is the reflection of our ability to share the Dharma and create a peaceful and loving community. By taking the Threefold Refuge, we are expressing our intention to overcome suffering and find true happiness for ourselves and others by looking to the nature of awakening we all share, to the true nature of reality that is pure, blissful, eternal, and authentic, and to the community of our fellow practitioners. These practices remind us that the three treasures are a real part of our lives, and that through them we can awaken as the Buddha did, and share that awakening as the Buddha did. I now bring this talk to a close. I look forward to your questions and comments. May the merits of this talk on the Dharma extend universally to all, so that we and all living beings together accomplish the Buddha way.